On this episode of Citizen, this is the Zodiac speaking. We continue digging into Vallejo Times-Herald police reporter Dave Peterson's one-of-a-kind Zodiac Case archive. As Dave pursued the Zodiac killer, his research was the foundation of a book he planned to write. The planned book was to be titled Zodiac, Reincarnation of Jack the Ripper. Chapter 2, Lake Herman Road Murders. Facts: 11 p.m., Friday, December 20th, 1968. .22 caliber automatic pistol. David Arthur Faraday, age 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, age 16, were shot and killed on December 20th, 1968, on Lake Herman Road in Benicia. They were ordered out of the car by the killer, and the boy was shot right at the side of the car. The girl apparently tried to run. She was shot 5 times in the back. She was found 28 feet further on. David was shot at point-blank range, directly into the head behind the ear. This type of shooting was referred to as coup de grace. In Dave's Zodiac Case archive, he has a folder labeled Lake Herman Road. Some of the information stands out amongst the file. One police report reads, due to the type of ammunition used, Western copper-coated .22 long rifle bullets, and due to the condition of the pistol barrel, which does not leave coarse structure on the bullet fired, from our examination it appears that a conclusive identification of the responsible weapon will be extremely difficult, if not impossible, even though it should be recovered. Witness observed dark car, lacking in chrome, not large, and not compact. The Solano County Sheriff's Office had the jurisdiction, and Detective Lieutenant Leslie Lundblad went to the crime scene. Lundblad responded to the Jensen-Faraday crime scene and investigated the case for almost a decade. Lundblad shares details about his best Zodiac killer suspect and how he matches the multi-jurisdictional profile for the Zodiac killer to a T.
But then we have another fellow that was born and raised in Vallejo. He was arrested for non-support 10 years ago in Napa, and his stepfather had a job down in Riverside, and he went to City College down there. Or he went to technical high school down in Riverside. Okay, he had 4 years in the Army, and he had 3 years in the Air Force. He had 1 year of cryptograph training. You can see all the pluses there. Mm-hmm. Plus here, plus Napa, plus he fits the description. Mm-hmm. Then he is now at Atascadero, and his handwriting looked very good. But CII or Washington, on his case here, I sent everything to both places. Mm-hmm. Neither one of them can make it.
On the prints either?
No, on the prints or anything. And I even took palm prints of him to try to match it with on the taxi cab. But there are some people you go further than you do others.
Right.
You know, if you're not finding any pluses along the way, but like this one I told you about living down Riverside, I went to the extremes with him, even to go down to Atascadero, and I went down there with Molinex. And it looked so good that the city of Vallejo appropriated the money for him to go down there with me. And I drove down in the car. I furnished transportation. We stayed in a motel down there. And we visited this guy for 2 days. And they gave us a room that we could interrogate him, and we went through the whole process, advised him of his rights and everything else. He was very cooperative, and he gave me a written note to his relatives that I could search his house and search his property and everything else.
There were 3 suspected Zodiac letters received in 1974. One of them was the letter sent 2 weeks after Lundblad visited this suspect in a Tuscadero mental hospital. It was received by San Francisco Chronicle on May 8, 1974. It read like this: "Sirs, I would like to express my crossed out, consternation concerning your poor taste, plus lack of sympathy for the public, as evidenced by your running of the ads for the movie Badlands, featuring the blurb, 'In 1959, most people were killing time. Kit plus Holly were killing people. In the light of recent events, this kind of murder glorification can only be deplorable at best. Not that glorification of violence was ever justifiable. Why don't you show some concern for the public sensibilities? Plus, cut the ad? Question mark. Signed, a citizen."
What's the last activity as far as Zodiac's concerned that you recall? Speculation or whatever.
The only thing that I can recall here now as far as we're concerned is the messages that he received, the letters he wrote.
74.
Well, one of the letters was received 2 weeks after I talked to this man down in Tuscadero.
Oh.
And
was that
it was mailed from San Mateo. And I think it was the Citizen, or he signed it the Citizen. So I kind of speculated that it might have been this man that I was talking to, and he might have had a letter smuggled out of the hospital, because I know he was still in there at the time the letter was received, and that he could have smuggled it out by somebody that was leaving, and they would have no knowledge of what was in it, except that he had the scorecard down the bottom, me 37, SFDD bill, and that's the only thing that would connect him with Zodiac.
Was that when he was complaining about the movie advertising in the paper?
Even though we could not connect him to it, and the letter received him at that time, and they said, "We cannot reach the one that I said he was brought up at Riverside, he had access to that area, he worked in this area as a salesman." He, as a matter of fact, his route went right to Martinez.
Oh.
And if he finished his route in Martinez and drove to Vallejo to visit his relatives, he would have access to Lake Herman Road.
Right.
It would be very easy for him to drive right down that road rather than come back to Peterson. My idea is probably the best suspect that I had in my file.
We do not know this suspect's name, as Lundblad never released it. We will refer to him as Suspect X. Lundblad describes being disheartened when his best suspect could not be confirmed by the FBI. But according to Lundblad, the FBI could not disprove his suspect either.
Then you don't feel that you have a really good suspect now among the...
Well, there are people there that we can't eliminate, and they're there only if you have other supporting evidence that could help.
Can't you eliminate them with the prints that sent this way?
Well, I try to think that, that they have good prints, but when you have a man that looks so good and they eliminate him, well, then you wonder, Like I get a report back from Washington, D.C. They say, where we cannot eliminate this man, we suggest that you look further for more, in other words, look for more suspects. Well, that's sort of letting you hang and dry. You think, well, geez, I got a good suspect here, but they can't make them, and they don't. They say, well, further handwriting exemplars and things won't help at this time. So you don't know where you stand.
It's stunning that the detective who spent the longest on this case had a suspect he wholeheartedly believed was the Zodiac. And this is the first time anyone has heard of him. Les Lundblad died long ago, so I reached out to his relatives. They suggested I contact his son Michael, who may have heard his father mention this suspect's name. In my phone conversation with Michael Lundblad, he shared that he will never forget the story of his father driving back from a Tuscadero State Hospital in 1974. According to Michael, Les called the sheriff's office dispatcher during his drive home and said, "I was just with the Zodiac killer." Michael doesn't know the name of the suspect, but does know that his father firmly believed that his best suspect was in fact the Zodiac killer. How can we learn the name of Leslie Lundblad's best suspect? With the help of Mike Morford, a longtime citizen investigator in the Zodiac case, I remembered Mike drew my attention to some pages within the FBI files, specifically pages that referenced the Presidio, an unsolved murder, and the day planner of an alcoholic. I revisited those pages and discovered these files describe a suspect and investigative evidence matching the detailed description Leslie Lundblad gave of his best suspect, Suspect X, in the audio interview with Dave Peterson. The files expand our base knowledge of Suspect X. A bizarre schizophrenic 27-page writing sample from 1973 is included in the FBI files. The suspect's name is redacted. Here's the key information from the dossier on Solano County Sheriff's Office Detective Leslie Lundblad's favorite suspect. He was born in Vallejo, arrested for non-support in Napa in 1967. His stepfather had a job in Riverside, California. The suspect attended Technical High School in Riverside, possibly attended City College in Riverside. He had 4 years of service in the U.S. Army, 3 years of service in the U.S. Air Force, 1 year of cryptography training in military, 2 years as a cryptographic operator, a patient at a Tuscadero State Mental Hospital from 1974 to 1977, a convicted sex offender of children. He has a Solano County jail arrest record. Multiple writing exemplars were taken and recovered from this suspect. These exemplars were sent to the FBI. The FBI reviewed and wrote back that this suspect could not be eliminated based on the exemplars. Mike Morford shared an FBI file where Suspect X's last name is unredacted. As I looked through additional pages, I found another spot where the suspect's name was unredacted. So we have 2 separate reports revealing Suspect X's last name is Cox, C-O-X. According to the files, Cox first became a suspect in the Zodiac case due to the fact that a CID investigator at the Presidio of San Francisco had received information from a source at the Sierra Army Depot that Cox had discussed the murder of an unknown Negro female with the source. The investigator compared Cox's photograph with the artist's conception of the Zodiac. There was determined to be some similarity between them. Additionally, Suspect X has a strong connection to Riverside, California. Riverside and the Sherry Jo Bates case were always on the minds of investigators because up until 2021, Zodiac was suspected of killing Sherry Jo Bates. In 2021, the Riverside Police Department learned the identity of the writer of the Riverside letters through DNA and confirmed the author was not the Zodiac killer. With that said, this does not mean that Zodiac can't be associated to Riverside, California. Suspect Cox. No first name or date of birth known at this time, but now this information is out there in the open air. I don't think it will take the Zodiac case citizen investigators very long to uncover more information about Cox. We are all entitled to our own opinions, and that's a big reason why the true crime genre is so popular. It's the parlor game element of these unsolved mysteries that makes them so intriguing. Like when we ask each other, who did it? Could it really be so-and-so? What about the friend? And so on. Here is Dave Peterson speaking with Vallejo Police Detective Jack Mullinax about Lundblad's suspect Cox. Mullinax accompanied Lundblad on the visit with Cox at a Tuscadero State Mental Hospital.
We investigated
literally hundreds. I don't know the exact amount, but I know it would be in the hundreds. But as far as being serious suspects after you get into investigations now, damn few.
I guess Les hasn't completely given up on that fellow that he had, even though he didn't seem to check out on the handwriting.
That's the guy down at Tascadero?
Yeah. Did you say he didn't look too like he either?
Oh, yeah. Oh. I couldn't see him at all. But Wes was hollering. We got handwriting, we got prints, we got the whole works good down here. And I mean, the guy's answers, his physical appearance, nothing turned me on about it. Just nothing.
In the summer of 2019, I visited the Solano County Courthouse and requested the case files, matching the files we uncovered within the FBI files about Cox. No additional files could be found in the courthouse. At that time, I shared all I had uncovered about Les Lundblad's favorite suspect, Cox, with the Solano County Sheriff's Office. I've heard nothing since then. One of the amazing things about the Peterson Zodiac Case archive is that it's frozen in time. It's an objective source. Dave Peterson approached the case with journalistic integrity. The articles and reports within it are in their entirety. Some of Dave's notes do reveal that as he worked through the case and gathered all the information he could, he did develop suspects he felt deserved attention, but he never became all consumed by one suspect. The Zodiac Case stumped and frustrated the original detectives all the way through their respective retirements. They gave it their all, but were always left scratching their heads. Some of them had their favorite suspects, and when they couldn't make them positively as Zodiac, it almost broke them as investigators. The elusiveness of the killer's tactics, coupled with the lack of key evidence and motive, caused years of confusion for law enforcement. The detectives began losing faith in the evidence they did have.
Is it possible that those bloody prints could have been made by someone other than the killer, you think? For example, touching something
out of the car?
Yeah, or
well, there could be an error there, but I think that most crime scenes are protected, and the people who arrived there first. Now,
they would have eliminated them.
When did the crime lab get there? Was it the next day they got that print off of there?
No, right away.
The taxi driver had to be moved out of that cab, and if somebody took a hold of him and was lifting them out and put their hand up there, see, they might have thought he was still alive.
One of the San Francisco papers ran a photo of him laying out of it.
Right, I have the same photo. Well, it's very possible that they did establish that he was dead, but they say they didn't feel that that print was his, and he did touch the body because he tore off a piece of the shirt.
Then he wiped off the cab with that piece of shirt.
Yeah.
He thought he got everything, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Lots of letters and touch points for fingerprints in the Zodiac case, but investigators in the early days of the case bemoaned the lack of strong physical evidence positively left behind at the crime scenes by the perpetrator. I hear the same bemoans today. They are not certain the prints on the cab are from the Zodiac. For Last in Line Pictures, I'm Trey Borzelleri, and this is Citizen True Crime Podcast. On the next episode of Citizen, this is the Zodiac speaking. We continue to dig and mine Dave Peterson's one-of-a-kind Zodiac Case archive. For additional content from this episode, visit the Last in Line Pictures YouTube channel. Search at Last in Line Pictures.